uh, at this point in time with brother A.A. Rogers-Bey. This here is not a debate. It's just a discussion. We want to build on the 13th Amendment with 20 sections and make knowledge born on that particular subject matter. And so without further ado, we're going to allow brother A.A. Rogers-Bey to introduce himself. So brother, at any point in time, you can unmute your mic and introduce yourself. Let the Moors know who you are and your affiliations and whatnot. Islam and peace.
Islam brothers, I'm kind of driving. I'm still riding my camel right now, so we could just talk real briefly. I am Minister Rogers-Bey. I'm actually part of MAG, Moorish American Government. I'm here in North Carolina, and me and the brother was just having some discussions on the Abraham Lincoln 1320. So we had some questions, and I was told that I'm welcome to come and have the conversation with the brothers. So that's why I'm here. So I appreciate the opportunity to build with the brothers. Islam.
So Grand Sheikh, do you kind of want to give a background on the discussion at hand and what it is we're going to be illuminating on?
Yeah,
Okay.
Islam. Grand Sheikh Yusuf Bey. Yeah, me and the brother, Minister Rogers-Bey, he hit me up in my inbox and he, asked me about the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. And, the brother was studying the resurrection book and he saw a word that he was asking about, which, it was very, it was a good question, because the Supreme Resurrector, Grand Sheikh Timothy Goel, he used the term federal property. So the minister, he wanted to know why did, that term was used. And, I just stated to him that it was a process that we was going through, that we was being transferred from the property of the slaveholder to the federal government and then made citizens and then we obtain our actual freedom. So he wanted to build more on does us the grand resurrector using that particular word federal property. And we was building and he was saying that the policy of freedom under Abraham Lincoln only freed the slaves in the rebellion states, I believe. And I was telling Islam.
Yeah, I was just concurring. Yeah, just agreeing. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I was telling building with them more and I was saying well that connects to the 10th Amendment. But later down the line, the 13 sections free the slaves nationwide. So we could let the minister, give us his understanding, and then we'll give our understanding. Hopefully, we could come to an understanding at the end of this discussion. It shouldn't be that long, and the minister he could add on. It's long.
Islam. Okay. Well, you're right on point. The discussion came about when we were talking about the proclamation of Abraham Lincoln, and what I stated was, I think a lot of people don't really, or when we say people, we're going to just stick with the Moors because we're all Moors, and when we read that proclamation, we don't really understand, number one, how it was put together, and actually who it really addressed. What most Moors don't realize and don't know is the proclamation itself, whether it be the 1863 or the 1862, was really was not first originally put by Abraham Lincoln. It was put together by another gentleman prior to 1862. But moving forward to 1863, if we look at it, it specifically states that how this proclamation was actually addressed to those states that were in rebellion. Not only we can go through naming them and everything like that, but not only when it got down to Louisiana, it actually tells you Louisiana except certain parishes in Louisiana. You see, so we have to read it for what it is. It's addressing a particular certain states that were in rebellion to the Union. Why did he do that? He only did it as a war measure. That's all it was. A war measure to deal with, as commander-in-chief, to deal with those who were rebelling against the agreement that was basically hashed out, whereby they would all become a perpetual union, meaning that they were never supposed to break up. So if you really notice that he never really addressed them as a separate nation. He said those that were in rebellion to the Union. So what he was saying, nah, we made an agreement that we were always going to be together and we would fight enemies based upon enemies. Now you rebelling against that Union. So upon doing such, 1865, after he freed the slaves within that period, he knew that number one is, this is not going to stick. It's not strong enough. It's not strong enough because not only did it not represent those parishes that were in Louisiana, it didn't address those who were actually in the North or part of the Union still. So not only that, it didn't even deal with, which was they weren't part of the Union quite yet, but I'm gonna deal with Sherman when he went towards the West in just a minute. It didn't really protect everybody because it wasn't constitutionally written. Because when we understand, we say who's empowered to write laws and enforce laws. And along the Moors, we know that how we say, well, the Grand Sheik and the Chairman. But when it comes to the Union or comes to the United States, it says that Congress is responsible for writing laws, etc., and then you break it down to the three branches of government. Now, when the proclamation was written, the Constitution itself was suspended. So the president, that's why he knew the proclamation wouldn't stick. So now we had to have a law written by Congress whereby Congress shall approve that. Now, in order for any law to become law within the United States, it has to go through Congress, but it has to pass both houses, both House and Senate. When the bill was first written and Secretary Seward and all of them was dealing with the bill, the first one, it was written through I think it was the Senate. It passed the Senate with 1320. I'm not going to argue that. It passed the Senate with 1320, but it never passed the House, so it never passed both bills to become a lawfully written bill. How does that work? I think y'all remember when Obama was writing Obamacare. Obamacare first passed the Senate, or passed, I apologize, it passed the House and the Senate. So it passed one way, and then the Senate said, we like this bill, but you got to get rid of this, you got to get rid of that. If you wanted to pass in the Senate, we're not going to agree to XYZ 1, 2, 3. So when the bill went back to now and it was rewritten, they got rid of XYZ 1, 2, 3, and then they passed the 1320, the 13.2. The 13.2, I have the original document with Lincoln's signature, ETCC, on it. I have that in my possession. If you gentlemen would want to have it, I can give it to you as well. But that's my take on the 1320, and then we can get into a little bit more on that. But it didn't pass both houses. That's my take on that. Islam.
That was a very good assessment, brother minister, and to see that you definitely study and you're a very rare brother. So this is going to be a definitely interesting dialogue. We appreciate that. Now I'm gonna have the Sheikh Amir is gonna go deep into this, but you made a very important statement that was that we need to pay attention to. You said during 1865, Congress was suspended. Is that correct?
No, what happened, I said Congress was suspended. Congress was suspended during the war. Now, in December of 1864, when General Sherman basically said to Lincoln that look, man, I'm going to give you Savannah for a Christmas present by 1864. So in the only way that Congress can write the 13th Amendment, Congress had to reconvene. Now, the reason why I said that the Congress was suspended, because what happens is in 1860, when the Southern states walked out in 1860, right? Whenever there's rebellion or whatever, there's a civil war in any nation, automatically that document that holds that nation together, it becomes suspended. So what happened was when 1860, then the Senate walked out, not the Senate, the Southern states walked out, and they formed the Confederate nation or Confederacy in 1861. Automatically, Lincoln became the commander-in-chief, because in order for him to remain in that office, you remember, commander-in-chief it's basically his primary objective was to win the war. So he was doing everything as a commander-in-chief. Now, I'm ex-military, so I know this for a fact. So what happened
Okay.
is,
Yeah. We got to understand. I just want to give you a little understanding. I'm gonna read something to you pertaining to
right,
that time period.
okay,
Only Congress has the authority to admit new states into the Union, and
right, nice.
thus Congress is the only one who could push states out of the Union. Article 4, Section 3, in part. So the Southern states were never lawfully out of the Union.
That's not
Make
for debate.
note.
That's not for
No,
debate. I'm
no,
agreeing with you on that. Yeah,
more.
I'm agreeing with you.
More. Let me finish though.
Okay.
I'm getting to a point.
Uh-huh.
Make note that because the Union being perpetual, the Constitution of 1787 was not the replacements of the Articles of Confederation. It was only the continuation of it. So the Article of Confederation as a written constitution still exists to this very day. I would like to call your attention to Article 10 of the Article of Confederation. The committee of the state or any nine of them have the authority to exercise the power of Congress when Congress is in recess. During the Civil War, 25 of the state legislators of the Union were not in rebellion. None of these states legislators were of the original 13 states: New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland. Here are the other 16, which is California, Kansas, Minnesota, Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri, Indiana, Maine, Ohio, Idaho, Michigan, and Oregon. Tennessee and Louisiana was returned to the Union under military control. The territory of Nevada and West Virginia was admitted as new states into the Union under the Civil War. So now, if Congress had no existence of lawful constitutional body in 1861, then the West Virginia and Nevada are not lawful Union states, even to this very day, which is not documented anywhere in the U.S. constant government. So, as you can see, Congress did lawfully exist as a constitutional body under the Civil War. Now, pertaining to the executive power of the president during the Civil War, I would like to call your attention to the Constitution of 1787, Article 4, Section 4. The state of the Union has the protect against invasion. President Abraham Lincoln prevented the invasion of England, French during the Civil War, which the law, which the Civil War, which the help of Alexander II, who was a Kaiser of Russia at the time. The State of the Union had the protection against domestic violence, which is abuse at home in any case. This case, the Civil War is just that. So um notice the phrase in the section 4 in part. This application a legislator of executive when a legislator cannot be convened. For those who still believe that Congress did not no longer exist as a lawful constitutional body in 1861, the and that President Lincoln had no authority to issue any executive order when a legislator cannot be convened. The application of the executive must protect the states of the Union according to the Constitution of 1787, who the President Lincoln had full authority to issue executive order that was issued during the existing rebellion. So that's what made this lawful during the time of Abraham Lincoln under according to the executive order.
Me
Did you
now?
follow? Did you follow me more?
Yeah, I'm following you, but you kind of mix two things together, which is actually um, we're gonna have to build upon those two things. Case in point, right? You listed the Articles of Confederation, and then you listed the Constitution from 1787. So what happens now is we're talking about two at the same time separate, but yet still continuation of a document. And let me explain why I'm saying it this way. Okay. You can have one document, right? And in that one document, you can have a lot of things that you like within a document and form a new document and use some of the things that you like from the first document to form that new document. So I want to say that, and then I'm going to explain why it's being explained that way. If you pay attention, you remember when George Washington wrote the Sultan and told him that he was sorry for not responding in such a timely manner. I can pull it up. I'm just getting it in the house. I'm gonna try to plug in my laptop now.
Yeah,
Maybe I might jump on it too.
yeah, we know the letter though.
Yeah, okay. That letter, if you pull it up, if you have it, pull it up for me, and then we will read it, because it's very important that we read it so we can be on the same page. Because there's some very important words in there that I think that we're not paying attention to.
But did you get my point that according to the Constitution, if it's domestic violence, the president have a power to execute executive order during that time, and since it was according to Article 4 of the Constitution, and since it was domestic violence, was the Civil War, he had executive power to execute executive will.
Yeah, of course. He has the power to issue executive order. Any president can issue executive orders regardless as to what. But here's the catcher, right? If that's the case, right, then there shouldn't be no need for him to even write the 13th Amendment. No need to.
Yeah.
If the executive order freed everybody,
it didn't.
Huh?
The proclamation did not free everybody. It was the
right.
13th Amendment 20 section that freed everybody. The executive will, what you're reading about, but it's pertaining to the southern states. And Sheikah Mick, can you add on about why the 13th Amendment freed everybody nationwide? It was not the executive will, the 4 proclamations.
Yeah, Islam, sure. So we was actually supposed to close out our meeting also as well.
All right, More. We're gonna just do the prayer fast and we'll start over, okay, More?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Please go ahead.
All right, do the prayer fast, More.
So let's talk about it. There was something that you said that was actually right and exact, which was most of the things you said we agree with. I think this needs to be put in context though. So yes, the proclamations of President Abraham Lincoln, they were in fact a war measure. And they only freed slaves in the states that were in rebellion to the Union, not just because they were slaveholding states. So there were slaveholding states that did not unlawfully attempt to secede from the Union. And so those states were not in violation, and thus their slaves, which could not be touched. Because if you look at the 5th Amendment of the Bill of Rights, it states that your property cannot be taken except without just compensation. You cannot be denied your property. So, and slaves at that time were considered property under the Constitution, chattel property. No different. You would register your slave like you would register your cattle in the county. So the slaves were originally private property of the slaveholders. They didn't belong to the state. They didn't belong to the government, right? And they didn't have freedom of themselves. They didn't belong to themselves. So slaves were property of the federal government. So the proclamations, as a war measure, only freed slaves in Confederate territory in states that were in a state of rebellion. So that is why an amendment was necessary to free slaves nationwide. All right. So that's one thing. I had taken notes on a number of things that you said, but we'll take our time to get to everything. But just addressing that, that's why the 13th Amendment with 20 sections was necessary to free the slaves on a national level. Because again, that was only utilized as a war measure. If you read the letter that Abraham Lincoln wrote to Horace Greeley, he explains his position on slavery. That his position, and that was a point that you had made, which was that it was a war measure. His only objective was because he took an oath. He took an oath to preserve the Union. That's his job and his duty as president. Now, it doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter where you come from or your ancestors. Once you take that duty and you're a citizen of the United States of America, you become president. That is your job. to maintain that union. And so that's what he was saying, that if he could free some slaves and leave some other slaves free, but preserve the union, he'll do it. If he could free all the slaves and he would do it to preserve the union, or if he could maintain slavery completely, he would do it. It doesn't matter what it would take. He's not trying to infringe on the rights of citizens who had the right, because slavery was not unconstitutional. Only the importation of slaves after the year 1808 was unconstitutional. But other than that, states through the 10th Amendment had the right to determine whether slavery was allowed in their borders, and him as president had no constitutional authority to take it away. So even if he had a moral, and he stated that he had a moral disposition against slavery, he did not have the authority as the president of the United States of America to do away with slavery. That can only be done through a constitutional amendment through the Congress. And how you said that proclamations are not law, you are right and exact. And the Grand Sheik pointed out Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, and showing how domestic violence gives the president authority to create law in the absence of the Congress, or when the legislature cannot be convened, as the language states. If you look within the congressional globe, on the day of December 15th, 1862, the congressional globe being the congressional record, what it was called during that particular time, you will see on December 15th, 1862, that the Congress voted 78 yeas to 52 nays that the President Abraham Lincoln's proclamations had the authority and force of law. So that not only could be interpreted from the Constitution, but the Congress themselves voted that he had the authority. But he still wasn't confident enough that after the war was over, that things could return back to normal. He wanted a permanent solution to the issue, so that this would never arise again and the country would never be fractured again by what he perceived as the greatest threat to the Union, which was the institution of slavery, which was also perceived by some of the founding fathers as one of the great threats to the liberty in America. And so this was why he was a driving force behind the passage of an amendment to the Constitution. And so I'm actually trying to pull up the page of the Congressional Globe now. I'm close to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 78 years to 52 nays.
Islam, page 1490.
Page 1490. Thank you, Mo.
Let's see if the minister, he have anything to say pertaining, like give him a chance to add on to what you're saying.
I think what you said is very you said two things. You agreed that the president or Congress said that the proclamation was good as law, right? I'm not arguing that point, or not even arguing that point. It was only law for those that were in rebellion. Once again, because you said the same thing. So if we're dealing with the proclamation and he said, look, you wrote it, you said it's good to go, we're going to say that we agreed upon it. But once again, the proclamation only addressed certain people. West Virginia was not even
part
why
of it. Why the amendment was necessary. And that's what we're talking about.
Right. Right. So then with the amendment now, which is he realized that, look, without this amendment, not only could slavery continued in the northern states or those that who weren't part of the proclamation, because Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution of the United States didn't have a problem with it. It didn't have a problem with it, the migration or importation of such person. They didn't have no issue with it. Because then even if you're going to deal, when you say, well, the importation was the issue. No, it wasn't the importation. It was also the migration, because the migration was dealing with those moving up and down the states. And that's why later on, you know, I told you what I was going to deal with Sherman when he head out west, because that's a part that most of us don't even study upon. When Sherman won the war for Lincoln on the East Coast, right? Everybody don't think about what was his next position, his next job. His next job was to go towards the west now, which he did a whole bunch of killing and ravishings for the quote unquote so-called Indians with the Comanches and the Apaches, and he did such atrocities out that side that nobody even really looked towards those teachings or those history. But let's get back to what I'm trying to get at. So on one point, how can you fight to free slaves on the East Coast, but in the next point you fight no savage war heading towards west? That's neither here nor there. So let's get back to the 1320. The 1320 now, right? I've never said that the 1320 didn't pass one house. It passed one house or one section of Congress, 1320.
Well, let's be specific. Let's be specific then. So before I go into that, you're saying that the 13th Amendment with 2 sections is the actual constitutional law. The 13th Amendment with 20. Wait, I just want to be clear that you're saying that the 13th. Not only are you saying that 13th Amendment 20 sections, you're agreeing it passed the Senate, but you're saying that it was rejected, and you're making the claim that the 13th Amendment with 20 sections was rejected, and you're saying that the 13th Amendment with 2
in the other house, right?
Right. I got you. It was passed in the Senate. That's what the House was introduced in, and it was rejected in the House. Is what you're saying. And then you're saying the 13th Amendment with 2 sections is the actual 13th Amendment that came out of it because they later introduced that one and passed that one. That's what you're saying.
Right. Exactly, because I have the document with Lincoln's signature on it.
Okay, so do we. So do we.
Right.
So let's look into it. So I have the dates right here. So April 8th, 1864, that's when it was passed in the House. In the Senate, not in the House, excuse me. In the Senate, it was passed April 8th, 1864. You're not disputing. Right. You're not disputing that. Okay.
No.
So, do you know the date that it was rejected?
I can't pull it up off my head.
So you look into this stuff while I'm breaking it down. You can verify, fact check. So June 15th, 1864 is when it was rejected, right?
Okay. 13th.
So what I'm gonna ask you to do is show me where the 13th Amendment with 2 sections was introduced. I need to know the date. I need to know the source that I can look into.
Okay. See now,
I'm listening.
So what happens now, right? I think you gotta, and what'll help you to get the clarity in it, do the research, right, on when Obamacare was first introduced. Because when Obama's first case was first introduced, right, you do that as a president, you're gonna see it passed one house, failed in the other.
I already got the dates, Mo. It passed in one house, it failed in the other.
Yeah,
and then it went back.
Yeah,
like more the minister, the Sheik asked you to give us a date and the source.
Right.
You say because everything we asking you, we already got the answers and the proof to it already.
Right. I'm digging. Right. I'm trying to dig for it now, but go ahead. I'm listening.
So I'm gonna share my screen for a second if I can. I'm gonna share my screen if I can, because this is the conspiracy right here, and this is what any legal expert is gonna run into when they try to say that we're not right and exact on this. This is what anybody who's a constitutionalist, a historian, everybody's gonna run into this brick wall that I'm about to present to you right now.
Okay.
So let me share my screen real quick.
Hold on, let me
share
try
content screen. Start broadcast, I think.
Hold on, let me do this.
Okay, can you guys see my screen? Can you see my screen?
No.
You have to slide the marker all the way to the left to the whole screen, and you'll see his screen.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, hang on one second. So my screen can't be shown.
You should see a red lining at the top of the screen with a tan background with little letters.
Okay, let's see here. All right. So right here, I'm on ourdocuments.gov, right?
Right. That's where I usually go. Okay.
Okay, right. So it says the 13th Amendment, it passed the Senate on April 8th, 1864. That's what it says, right? Mm-hmm. Then it says in the House on January 31st, 1865, right? And on February 1st, 1865, President Lincoln approved the joint resolution of Congress, submitted a proposed amendment to the state legislatures, and then it's ratified subsequently on December 6th, 1865. But here's the problem, right? You see that's a .gov at the beginning, so it's a government website. Well, let's take a look at another .gov, right? Okay? You see at the top of the screen, it says .gov, right? Okay? Let's look at what website we're looking at. This is a century of lawmaking for a new nation, U.S. Congressional Documents and Debates, 1774 to 1875. So we're going to look actually at the Senate Journal on the date of April 8th, 1864. Let's see if we see 2 sections or 20 sections. Okay, let's see do we see that Friday, April 8th, 1864? Do we see that at the top right there?
Introduce.
.gov? Do we see the .gov? Okay. All right, let's continue. So this is a government website. Friday, April 8th, 1864. Let's take a look. Let's scroll down a little bit. Senate Joint Resolution 16. Let's see what it is. Wait. I see Article 13, right? Let's read that. Opinion of debate. the president announced that the morning hour had expired and called up for consideration the unfinished business of the Senate yesterday. And the Senate resumed the consideration of the joint resolution S-16, that's the bill number, proposing amendments to the Constitution of the United States. And on question, will the Senate concur in the amendment made to the joint resolution or committee of the whole? After debate, on motion by Salisbury to amend the amendment made in the committee of the whole by striking out the words Article 13, Section, neither slavery or involuntary servitude, except the punishment for crime, whereas the party shall be duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any subject up to their jurisdiction. Section 2, Congress shall have power to enforce articles by appropriate legislation, and inserting in lieu thereof the following. Let's be clear that what's being said here. On motion by Salisbury to amend the amendment made in the committee of the whole, which is the two sections you were talking about, by striking out the words. Can we agree that they were moving those two sections? Can we agree that that's what it's saying? On motion by Mr. Salisbury to amend to the amendment made in committee of the whole by striking out the words Article 13, Section 1, which is the Section 1 and Section 2, what we normally know as the 13th Amendment, and inserting in lieu thereof, in replacement thereof. We need to look up what the word in lieu means. And inserting in lieu thereof the following. So it inserts on April 8th, 1864, in place of two sections, an article with 20 sections. Let's go down, 20 sections.
Let's see, do he concur so far?
Let's make sure we're on the same accord. Striking out the two sections and inserting in lieu thereof 13 sections.
Hold on.
Let me know if you need me to move the page around anywhere.
Yeah,
or
move the page and start back with the reading again, because I'm trying to get off my phone so I can get on my laptop so I can see bigger.
Okay.
Yeah, we see you on a laptop too as well, Minister.
Yeah, but I'm trying to do that right now. So let me get this.
Okay.
It's giving an echo.
So
that one. Leave that.
This is page. Okay. Let's get the source for you. Let's get the source completely for you.
Right.
This is the Journal of the Senate of the United States of America, the 37th Congress. I'm not quite sure which session it is. I think it's the second session. 37th Congress, right? Page 311. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So now we read I'll start at the top of page 311, but the part I want you to pay attention to, I'm asking you about, and we don't want to court, is the part where it says on motion by Salisbury. That's
right.
The part that I want to make sure we're on the court.
I'm following
the beginning. Okay, so let's look at that. On motion by Salisbury to amend meaning to change, right? To amend the amendment made in committee of the whole by striking out the words. So can we agree that striking out the words means removing these words from that amendment?
Removing.
And then in quotations, we have the two articles, Section 1 and Section 2. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except for punishment of crime, where the party shall be duly convicted, shall exist within the United States of America at any place subject to, et cetera, et cetera. Section 1 and Section 2 of what we call the 13th Amendment today.
Right.
It says before that, striking those words out. We can agree that we see that, right?
Right, striking the words out.
And then it says, and inserting in lieu of thereof the following. So in taking those words out and put these words in for the 13th Amendment, would you agree that that's what that's saying?
Right, 13-1, right.
Okay. Now we look, the following is Article 13 with 20 sections. The 13th Amendment with 20 sections. Let's look at the words real quick. All persons shall have the right to peaceably assemble, worship God to the dictates of their own consciousness. The use of the public press shall not be obstructed, et cetera, et cetera. This is the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. You can look it up and see that these are the exact same words, right? Now let's look down. It was determined in the negative on the question to concur in the amendment made in the committee of the whole. Then the next line. It was determined in the affirmative, no further amendment being made to the joint member resolution. So no further additions to it. Ordered that it be engrossed and read a third time. So you're reading it again. The said resolution was read the third time. On the question, shall the joint resolution pass? It was determined in the affirmative. 38 yeas to 6 nays.
Right.
This right here shows you who voted and what. This is the .gov website. They changed from the 2 sections in lieu of put 20 sections and vote. So how is it? Now let's go back.
No.
How is it?
Go back to the top again. Go back to the top.
We're gonna go back. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. How is it that they're saying that the 13th Amendment with 2 sections was passed on April 8th, 1864 in the Senate, and then we go and look at the Senate journals, and it says that this was stricken. The words of the 13th Amendment with 2 sections were struck out, and inserting in lieu thereof was the 13th Amendment with 20 sections.
I think
check the vote count of 13th Amendment with 2 sections. You're going to see it's going to say the exact same number, 38 yeas and 6 nays. So what you would have to do, and what every other legal scholar would have to do, is show me where the 13th Amendment with 2 sections was passed, and show me where the 13th Amendment with 20 sections was rejected. You got to show me where after it got passed in the Senate journal, it was rejected, because they're keeping the same date. That rejection date of June 15th, 1864, and when it was reintroduced in the House on January 31st, 1865, that's the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. And for you to prove that it's not, you got to show me where in the congressional record that it was 2 sections that was placed upon the books. Because I just showed you where the words were stricken out and 20 sections was voted. And it shows that the government is saying that they keeping the same, they saying that it was passed on this date. So you got to show me on April 8th in the Senate Journal where the 13th Amendment with 2 sections was passed on that date. Okay, so there you go.
In the journals itself, okay. Give me a minute here. What I mean a minute is, I have done research on this before, and I got a rebuild laptop, okay? So I'm not running away from it. I'm gonna find that for you and show you that number one is, we're looking at the dates, like you said, one is 1864, one is 1865.
Wait, what is 1865?
Say it again, sir?
This Senate Journal is not 1864. This is, let's go back up to the top just to make sure we're clear.
No.
Friday, April 8th, 1864. It's the same date that it says the 13th Amendment with 2 sections was passed on. It's the same date. See, April 64? Friday, April 1864. On their website, on the other website, it says April 8th, 1864, the 13th Amendment. It's the same date. So in that same journal that I just showed you, 20 sections was passed. You should be able to show me on that same date that 2 sections was passed, or either the government's lying or mistaken on their other website.
Oh, so when did the bill, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's December something, 1864, I think is when the other one was actually, I think it's 64 or 65. I'm getting a little lost on this one. But 65, when did Lincoln got killed? 5, right?
It's long. Abraham Lincoln was assassinated April 14th, 1865.
April 14th, after signing of the amendment, right? Okay. So I think by January 1865.
You talking about December 8th, 1863?
No. It's 60. Can't be 63 because it's the war ended in 63, 64.
It ended in 65.
The war ended when Sherman gave him what I'm talking about. The war like ended in when Sherman gave him Savannah as a Christmas gift. So that's why I'm saying 64. 5, they went in and began the what you call the writing, etc. and all that kind of stuff. So I gotta find that. I have it somewhere, but that's one I'm gonna have to find. I can't finish up on it right now, to be honest with you. So I'm gonna have to find it. I'm gonna come back to that again. I know it was rejected. 13 with 20 section. I know it is. I'm on it, and that's the same thing that I used to find it any which way.
So you saying
it was rejected the first time.
And it
but
was
see, the 13th Amendment, exactly. See, the 13th Amendment with 2 sections keeps the same date. So if you say the 13th Amendment with 2 sections, it was rejected too, because it's going to have the same date. June 15th, 1864 is a rejection date.
Okay, hold on.
They switched the documents.
Okay, hold on now. Okay, I see what you're saying. Hold on, let me pull up my 13 too then. Hold on. Pull it down a little bit. How do you do this now? Because you're sharing screen and it took up my whole screen. And I want to get to the other side. Let's get it. Escape. There you go. Hold on. Let me see if I pull up the Lincoln document. Because you're giving me, I got to go back in. Okay, here's the Lincoln document. All right. Lincoln document. Look up on here. Okay, it's the 38th Congress, and you quoted the 37th, right? You quoted the.
I'm thinking it's the 37th, but it might be the 38th.
Okay, so
Well, it's the 38th and the 37th because it's introduced in 1864, but it's fully passed in 1865.
What would be the 38th Congress then? Okay, so the 38th Congress.
First session.
Right, I'm watching 38th Congress. Abraham Lincoln submitting resolution 13. Bring now. Let me get to the year, the date. In the Senate, it was in the Senate, passed the Senate in 1864, April 8th. April 8th, passed the Senate, right? April 8th, 13-2. So then we're going back to your document.
Wait, hold on. Wait, let's not fast forward. You just said that the 13-2 passed the Senate April 8th, 1864.
But
That's where you're saying the bill's introduced. We just showed that our bill was introduced on that date. So you got to show us it being introduced on April 8th, 1864. Otherwise, you can't use the date.
Well, no, what you said, well, okay. In the Senate, right? In the Senate, April 8th, 1864, right? So now what we're saying is, I'm going with you now. I'm going with you. So then it says approved February, got you. February 1st, 1865.
Yes.
Now you're not walking with me no more. I'm asking you to show me. I'm just asking you one thing. Show me where the 13th Amendment with 2 sections was first passed. It was introduced and passed.
Right.
I need to see that.
Right. And I'm gonna dig for it and I'm gonna get it to you again because now you got me thinking
So what date is it though? What date? Just before you start digging.
Beloved, what I'm saying is I gotta get it for you and get it for myself as well too, because you got me thinking I need to find something, which is true. So we're saying in 1860, I'm just reading the Lincoln document. I'm not debating something right now, or I'm not trying to go on the other side. I'm just reading exactly what the Lincoln document says. Okay? So I'm going from the top, I'm reading, and it's the 38th Congress, which would be the day the after 1864, right? So now, what he's saying, the 13th section with 2 was introduced in the Senate. Now, I gotta find, like you saying now, and this is what I was trying to show. This is what I was trying to show. Okay. And Obama's case, right? When you send a bill to a house to debate, and you send the original bill to the house to debate, right? They're gonna debate over the bill, left and right, in between 1, 2, 3. And then they can strike out what they don't like in the bill, come up with their bill, and then put it to a vote. What they put to the vote doesn't have to be exactly what they didn't approve of. They didn't have to bring that back up again. All they're saying now is we will agree to 13th Amendment this way if you want it. Now, what we got to find out is what you're asking us find where both houses have signed off on the 13-2 is what you're asking to find. Because we can find where we have the signatures from the Senate for the 13-2. But we don't have the signatures from the House for the 13-2. We have the signatures for the House for the 13-20. So we don't have signatures for both, whether it's the 13-20 with both House and Senate and the 13-2 with both House and Senate. But bills don't work that way. That's the crust of it. Because if it passed one House agreeing upon something, they'll say, yeah, okay, well, I see where y'all going with this. But if y'all want this, we're going to accept 1, 2, and that's it. We ain't accepting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on those 20. Now you can insert this in the bill, the 13-2, and pass it and say, this is what we agree upon. I know that's how bills work. So we both have to find something now, because now what you're giving me, I got to go digging again. And I'm pretty sure if I'm going to find it somewhere, because we have.
All right, well, we don't both have to find something. You have to find something. We already have our answer. Like, again, we brought up the conundrum.
Right.
When you're talking about how a bill's passed, we're looking at Article 5 of the Constitution, right?
Right.
It says the Congress, wherever 2/3 of both houses shall deem necessary, shall propose amendments to this Constitution on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of several states shall call convention. We didn't do a constitutional convention. That part we don't really worry about, but which in either case shall be valid intent and the purposes as part of the Constitution when ratified, et cetera, et cetera. So 3/4 of which they have to ratify. This is the process by which an amendment has to be made, right? Now, when you look at originally, you said that a bill could be proposed in one house, changed up. You insinuated it could be changed up, and it doesn't have to be voted on. But if you look
no, I never said that.
Oh, okay.
No, that's not what I said.
So you didn't say that. Let's say you didn't say that. Again, we showed that the bill was passed in this house. We showed that the bill was passed in the Senate on the day that they say the 13th Amendment with 2 sections was passed. Now you're saying that because it was rejected on June 15th, that makes it that was it. But it was reintroduced. That's the part that you. Matter of fact, let's take a look at that.
Yeah, please do. Put that up.
Let's take a look at that because we're going to look at January. Let's go. Let me show y'all how to navigate this. Matter of fact, we're going to look at this. All right, y'all still see my screen?
Yeah, I gotta get in.
Let's take a look at that. So we're going to look at the Congressional Globe, and we're going to look at because we could just look at the House Journal, but we'll look at the Congressional Globe. If we don't find the Congressional Globe, we'll look at the House Journal. So we look at the 38th Congress.
38. There you go.
We'll look at the 38th Congress. I've been to this website 1,000 times, Mo. Everything we about to look at, I've already seen.
Okay.
I'm showing this to you. So we're gonna start off. We're looking at January, so we're gonna start off on page. We're gonna start here and see where we at. What page number we on? What day we on? December 13th.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's go to page 40. Let's jump to page 40 real quick and just see what that looks like. What date it brings us to?
Yeah.
December 14th. All right, we're gonna skip down to page 100 then. But we're going. This is how we came to the conclusions that we came, Mo. We didn't.
Hey, look, I don't mind at all. Iron sharpens iron. If I have something that's not on exact, we're gonna do what we gotta do. But I know. Go ahead.
And we got the document when the Lincoln signed the 1320, which I'm gonna show when the Morphin is doing his demonstration. I'm gonna show you the document
with the 1320 signed with everybody.
Oh yeah, we have the
Abraham
1320
Lincoln
from signed.
We studied Grant Richardson L's teachings in depth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Be one of his best students in this era in time.
So you say Abraham Lincoln signed 2 documents?
No, we're not saying that.
No, that the 13-2 that's a forge.
That's a fake.
It's not real. It's fake.
Okay, so we had January 20th now. Let's try page 4. Let's try page 450. Let's just jump.
I got the page. I got a
27th. Yeah, normally I do too. We on 27th though. We not far.
Wait, I got the document right here.
You got all of them. We on January 31st though. So let's try 525. We getting close.
Let's put this on the table first so we can understand any which way. So we're not arguing that the 13th Amendment didn't free our people. We're good on that, right? So we're free because of the 13th Amendment, whether it's 13-2 or 13-20. We're just trying to figure out now, like you're saying, is which one is actually on the books, is what you're saying. What we're saying any which way. Because I know we're free.
Yeah, we know which one is on the books, so we got it.
Right. Hold on, I gotta sit down so I can see this better.
I know.
I don't have my glasses myself. Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. So it says abolish slavery right here. Y'all see that, right? On January 31st.
Mr. Stevens.
I got volume 138.
What page number you got?
78. I think that's what it is.
Nah, not on this.
Oh, okay. It's the congressional record.
Okay, yeah. So this is Tuesday, January 31st, 1865. This is the date in the House of Representatives that the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. Well, they're not going to have the section count. And see, this is the part that I'm going to.
What page number are you on? I'm
on page 522.
Once you try 600, I think that might be okay.
No, we're already on the date. You see right there, the next page.
I have 1490.
Yeah, I got.
Here we go. I got it.
89.
The speaker stated the question in order to be the consideration on the motion to reconsider the vote by which to reconsider the vote by which the House on the 14th of last June rejected Senate Joint Resolution number 16.
16.
Remember, we saw that. That was Senate Joint Resolution. So they rejected the same document. How does it have the same bill number, Mo? How does a 13 member with 2 sections and a 13 member with 20 sections have the same bill number? Submitting to the legislature of the several states a proposition to amend the Constitution of the United States. This is January 31st, 1865. And that the gentleman from Ohio, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the date by which the joint resolution passes, according to, we're not going to read the whole thing, whatever. But you see the fifth article, the Congress, whenever 2/3 of the House, the same thing I was reading.
Right.
So there we have it. So how does it have the same bill number? If we see in the other one,
Why?
if we see in the other congressional bill, what page is this? What is this?
Why
Is it the
would
same
it
thing?
not? Why would it not have the same bill number if one is basically? It's. Let me see.
Why would it not? So you could distinguish between one proposed bill and the next proposed bill.
If you let me see if I get this right. Let me understand this right.
I gotta see where was I at? This is 1862. This is not where I'm looking for it all.
Bill.
Islam, what you looking for?
I'm trying to go back to the 1320.
38th Congress, right there, 1863. Page number. You want to type in 1480? I mean 1496.
Nah, that's not the one I'm looking for.
Are you looking for 1489?
No, hold on, wait.
38th Congress, first session.
I think I'm looking for
You looking for the 1320, right?
Yeah, you said his first session. What page you said?
Yeah.
1489.
1489, more. 1864. 38th Congress, first session.
Okay, my bad.
And if you are to click one prior image, you will see where the 1320 is being presented, argued, thrown away for the 1320, and then the 1320 is passed, and this becomes Resolution 16.
Okay, find that part for me because I think you just said
Actually,
something.
I'm looking in the wrong.
You just said something that I want to find.
It's right there, Mo. You see it in the sec.
You
Top
said the
left corner, Mo.
13-2 was rejected. If you find that for me, because
You see it, Mo? It's right there.
I'm actually looking for it right now, but this is not the same.
No, go hit private image. You're on 1491. It's on 14. There you go.
make it bigger for me because I can't see that.
Nah, this is not the original one that I had. I actually had it with the 20 sections out.
Yeah.
But
that's
you know
on
what?
your other link. That's
exactly.
Because I got it in my hand right now.
There you go. Up there. You see it?
Nah, this is the one we were just looking at. Hold on, wait. I got it. I know how to get to it. We're gonna go back into because we ain't going to the congressional globe.
Hit Control H, and then you can see all the links that you had.
Nah, hold on. We was in the Senate. We was in the Senate Journal.
Yeah, the Congressional Globe, April 9th, 1864.
Well, the Congressional Globe is the congressional record, so it's both the House and Senate journals. They kind of put summaries in it. I'm looking for the, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking for the full joint.
Yeah, right, what you just given me, if that's the case, then I want to see that because then you said the 13-2 was rejected.
Okay, I know.
I don't mind if you find that because I've never seen that. I'm just going to.
I'm gonna show. We already showed it. I'm gonna show it to you again. If I could just next section. I need to go to page. Let me see. Can I go to page number at the bottom?
Muhammad, you know where's it at exactly?
I know exactly where it's at. It's on page 3.
Not in his
11.
Not in his session. I have it pulled up. In the
I got it. It's on page 311. 310
he's going to statute allowed.
It's right here. So boom, next page. Bam. So again, it says right here on motion by Salisbury to amend the amendment. So Salisbury's making a motion. Remember
Salisbury just gonna read it.
We're reading it. Just walk with me because we're going to take it real slow.
Right.
It says on motion by Salisbury. So Mr. Salisbury, who is a senator, I believe he's a senator from Maryland, he's making a motion before the Senate to amend the amendment. He's trying to make changes to it. Made in committee of the whole. The committee of the whole is the group who was the selected senators who are going to create the 13th Amendment or who's going to make a proposed amendment to the Constitution. By striking out the words. Okay, so it's a motion to amend the amendment by striking out the words. He wants to strike out the words.
Right.
Section 1. This is the section 1 of the 13th Amendment with 2 sections.
Right.
Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to the jurisdiction. Section 2. Congress have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation and inserting in lieu thereof the following. So it strikes out the 2 sections and replaces it with the 13 sections. And then when you see the vote count at the bottom, it's 38 yeas to 6 nays.
Go back up again. I know. Go back up just a little, slowly. Okay.
And we know that the 13-2, the Northwest Ordinance of 1787.
It's long.
Now, based upon this, beloved, I'm not even going to find, because really and truly, that's what you show me. I've never read that the way that it is on this, to be honest with you. Because now I got to go back. Send me that to my email. Because I have it where the 13-2 is actually law. And then what you've given me is this is 1864. 1864, strike this out in April 8, 1864. And when was this reintroduced?
This was reintroduced January 31st, 1865.
Ooh.
It's the same dates as the 13th Amendment with 2 sections.
No,
they switched it out.
Right. No, what I'm seeing now is good. What I'm seeing, because what you're saying now is the same date, right? And then he comes back. Wait a minute.
I sent you the link privately in the Zoom chat, so you could just copy paste it and save it.
Let me read it. Hold on.
Meeting close.
Okay, this one is approved in April 8, 1864. Right? 1864. And then he goes back. Go back again now to the screen share. Go back to the screen share.
I gotta share the screen again. Hang on a second.
Yeah. April 8, 1864.
Okay. Page 311.
1864. I want to get the date on this right here. This one is, what date was this right here?
April 8th, 1864.
Okay.
In the Senate Journal.
Great conspiracy.
You see? Now, mind you, on our quest to acquire the certified records from the federal government, I spoke to an archivist at the National Archives.
Right.
So I had this discussion with people who do this. Like it's their living. They catalog, archive, and disseminate these documents and make sure that they get certified records. When attaining these certified records, I couldn't even come as a sheik or a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I came as a college. I wasn't even in college at the time, and I told them I was a college student working on a project. Just to sneakily get this, because I knew the implications of what it was.
So you went right elbow.
Yeah, to get this information. And then by the next time that I tried to order it, after the discussion, this lady was trying to convince me that this wasn't law. She was trying to convince me, and she's going mad hard on the phone, as if it's like, yo, ma'am, I'm. Where's the other date? Like, show me, where can I find the 13 Amendment? I'm having the same discussion I'm having with you, and she couldn't do it. But we having this long, because I'm like, oh man, isn't it just your job to just kind of like process my documents and just send me my stuff? Like, here's my credit card number. Can I get my stuff? Like, I don't even want to have this long-winded discussion with her. I'm just on the phone with her to get the documents, but she's solely trying to convince me that the 13th Amendment with 2 sections is law. The next time I called to get another set of these documents, they had a written, prepared statement that there was a gentleman that answered the phone this time, and he said to me that he had to read this before he processes my paperwork. My app on my phone, I couldn't get it to record it. I was so upset. I couldn't. But they had a written, prepared statement the next time I went looking for it. That's how powerful I know this information is, and how confident we are in it, because we spent as much time as we could trying to get this information until we got it together. And I'm telling you, when you look at it, the question you got to ask yourself: where did the 13.2 get introduced? Because we already see on this date that there was 20 sections. So where did this 2 sections? And mind you, this law was passed for our people. This was the law that's supposed to encapsulate our birthrights in America upon our freedom.
Right.
And
So,
it has 20 sections and not 2.
Now,
The president that signed it is dead and got assassinated.
right.
I'm sorry, Mom. I just want you to get the implication of what it is that we're saying.
Sheik, is this Sheik? Wait a minute. Is this SR16 we talking about?
Yeah, Senate Joint Resolution 16. That's the
All right. I'm
13th
gonna
Amendment.
show. Let me show. I'm gonna take my camera on. I'm gonna just show them more.
Okay, let me close out my screen share. Do I got my? Oh, I don't got screen share. No, I do. No, I didn't. I never broadcasted. My bad. Go ahead, Mo.
All right, wait.
Yeah, Mo's pardon me a second. I got to use the restroom real quick.
Yeah, that's
right.
Right. Now, I can't see that.
Wait, Minister. You see?
Well, I saw you put. Yeah, okay. So this, okay, SR16.
No. Listen. Hold on, wait. Don't. I'm gonna mute everyone's mic, but the Grand Sheik. Because if you talk, your screen will pop up. So just watch it. I'm gonna mute everyone's mic, including my own. Grand Sheik, you just show what you're showing and explain it.
Yeah. Well.
The Grand Sheik mic is
Islam, Mo, we
muted.
can't hear you. You're muted. You're muted, Mo.
Islam. All right. So this is the SR16 March 30. March 30.
Hold on. You got to hold your camera still because it's blurry. We
Okay.
ain't gonna be able to make out. You got to point it.
My bad. I'm a little bit excited, more. My bad. You see it? Minister, you see it? Put a thumbs up if you see it.
We can see it. We can see it.
All right. So that's SR16. This is the first section.
You got to back it up just a little bit and keep it still. We can't really make out what it says.
Okay. You see it, Sheik? That's the same force. The first section that you see. The second section.
Could you show us the numbers? Like we can't even see the numbers to it. Like put it to the left a little bit so we can see the number. Okay, that's 2.
See, that's 2.
All right, could you pull it up a little bit? Because the top of the documents, it says there's a 13th Amendment, whatever. Could you just look? It says Senate. I see SR 16. I see March 3rd. I see amendment. Wait, slow still. It says amendment. I see that.
This is the Congress, 38th Congress, first section.
Okay. Yeah, in the Senate. We see the Senate. Could you show us the seal? The seal from the document at the bottom?
Yeah, wait, it's in the front. All the way. Oh man. Oh. Well, hang on, Morris.
We'll get them more a second, but these are copies directly from the National Archives. So the signature and everything of the obviously the entire document is handwritten. As you can see right there goes the seal from the National Archives certifying the validity of the document.
Well, I want to get the part where Abraham Lincoln's hand signature.
Yeah. Show us the hand signature and that it has 20 sections. At least show us section 20, the number 20 on it, showing that it's 20 sections to it, because it's hard to make out what it says.
All right. Wait, give me 1 minute, Morris. I got all the stuff on all these documents on my bed. I mean, you could talk. I'll get to it.
Yeah, it's long. So that's one of the documents that we ordered. So everything from the proclamations and everything that pertaining to that particular period, we ordered the documents from the National Archives, because what we understand is that these are lawful exhibits in court cases. If we were to present this before the courts of the United States of America, they would have to recognize it. And so
I don't. What's X111? What is
that's
that?
13, Mo.
Okay,
X equals 10, and the 111 is three ones. It's 13.
So now we see that this is the 30th Congress, the first session, SSR 16, Articles 13, and I'm gonna show you the 20 sections. One, two, three.
Yeah, mind you, we've had these documents for years. We never really issued this information publicly, but it just as the Asiatics kept the Circle 7 Quran until the appointed time, we were the vanguards and kept this information guarded until the appointed time. And we're seeing that there's a shift and a change in the enemy's energies within the universe in this year 2020 that we releasing the keys on this.
Try not to break the document.
Yeah, be very careful, but be careful with that. So we released the keys because at this day and time, we don't need to be. It shouldn't even be an issue whether about 15 men with 20 sections. At this point in time, it should just be common knowledge in the Moorish movement that the true constitutional amendment of the 13th Amendment of the Constitution is the one with 20 sections. And then now we can start talking about plans of action, understanding what each section means, what it pertains to, what we can do, what rights are secured under it, and what have you, and kind of decoding what it means. That will be the discussion going forward, not whether or not 13th Amendment with 20 sections is law, whether proclamations of Abraham Lincoln is law. These things are all law. It's law.
Okay. You see that?
Yeah, that's section 19 right there.
And then here goes section 20.
XX, yeah, that's 20. Section 20 sections.
20 sections.
So this is a certified copy of the original record that they have in the National Archives.
Let me put it again.
All right, so okay, yeah, you can unmute yourself actually, Mo. Once I mute your mic, you can unmute it. But if you would like to say something at this time, you're welcome to.
No, what I gotta say is, honestly speaking, is that the certified documents that you have, honestly, I've never seen it, and I'll be the first to admit, because I'm not the one to be, what's the word I want to put, too proud to admit that I have never seen something. So on the 1320, if you stand on what you have the evidence to stand upon, I take my fez off and say Islam, and it's a piece of jewel. Now, I'll make the necessary adjustment that needs to be made on the 1320, but we know that the 13, like I said, the Prophet did say that, 1865 is when we're freed. So we don't have an argument on as far as admitting that, the 13 is actually what freed us. So the only issue was, which 13? So now you can stand upon, because what you've just actually shown is, number one is that, like you said, that forgery, or having two documents out there like that just only shows to show that how the wickedness that they would do in order to hold on to us. So it's never been an argument as to our freedom. It's just a matter of what we're going to do with the freedom that we have. And that's where I kind of not getting upset or getting too tired of is that some things need to be, argued about or talked about or not even debated, but discussed among certain ones. And so we can move forward and finish out the work that needs to be done. So I'll go back and I'll make sure that how I can digest upon what you've shown myself and even have it on my archive. So when I teach, that we can teach and say, hey, look, this is what it is. And, when our chairman, he did speak on the 1320 as well. And it's in there because most everybody from Maryland actually have that record or that understanding, and that's what it is. But beyond most everybody that comes from Maryland side of you, it has to be something that needs to be put out and finish it, because the way that I look at it, we don't have much time to play around. I got to worry about my children and the rest of the nation and to hold on to, or at least just keep blowing the trumpet, because that's a very piece of great research on that, and hold on to it and let's just do what we got to do. So
yeah, it's long. Yeah, that's why I respect the way you approach me, via Facebook, and that's why we didn't want to put this out as a debate. It was a bill between brothers, but you came to me respectfully. And, we don't take the credit for this information. We stand on the shoulders of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and Grand Sheikh Richardson Dingle L, who, was trying to show this to the Moors back in the 40s. And, some of the Moors didn't want to, deal with what he was dealing with. So in this era and time now, we did the research and what Grand Sheikh Richardson Dingle L was talking about to get the documents, because man is not knowing about being told. And you the first brother that we actually showed this to outside of our circle.
And I'm honored.
And now,
yeah,
you're the first brother that we showed this outside our circle. For many years, many Moors, they basically point fingers at our particular ideology about the 1320 sections. And we never was gonna try to go back and forth with Moors, but like the Moors said, we think it's time now to show that this was the laws that freed us nationwide, and this contains the birthright of the Moors, and that's why the Prophet is pointing to Act 6, where he's standing on the divine constitution and bylaws. That's the master degree that we got to look at is Act 6, 1865.
Man,
So
Act 6 is our charge, Grand Sheikh. It's our charge. If you're not gonna do it, then there's a lot of Jews in Act 6 if people really understand it. Because what you just demonstrated, and we got to sort this out, because what you demonstrated is actually the slaveholders still holding on to you when actually you should be free. And I'm one. You'll never find me to the point, honestly, that I'm going to come to anybody disrespectfully unless you come at me. And even when you do come at me that way, 9 times out of 10, I have a way that I can respond, whether I choose to respond negatively or just take it with a grain of salt. I'm not that type of Moor that does that. You'll never find me doing that. If you look at any work that I do, is always try to find some way to include as many of us Moors, because if we think that only one side of us have all the pieces to the puzzle, we missed it. And I can't
exactly.
I can't gain strength from you, or can't gain the knowledge that you have if I come at you with an axe or come at you with a sword. It's stupid. The scripture says, "Come, let us reason together." I don't do the debating thing, because debating is more about 2 fools having an argument, and I don't consider myself a fool. So I don't move like that. So you've given me something, honestly, that I can stick in my pocket now, and I gotta go and tell the rest of my folks that, how, look, this is the Jew that I found, and this is the side that it come from, and we gotta move, because I say that really and truly, we got a nation we gotta build, beloved. So. I got some information from my side of the water that I think, that Moors have to have, because a lot of times y'all forget to look at the part of where Columbus first landed, or where Columbus came and who he found, and etc., and what he found, mosque in Cuba, and he found Moors in Cuba, etc. So what I'm saying is there's information on both sides of the waters that we have to marry, so long for himself, and long live Moorish America. So I'm just to the point right now that I'm thankful for that piece of information that the Moors have studied on, because that's you showed me something today. Honestly, you have. So Islam for that. Holy. I think one more thing that I think you said the Moors in the 40s didn't want to understand certain things, but you can't fault them because they were still in the wilderness, still close to that slave point. So some things they can't see beyond their faces, you know. So you can't put too much light in dark places or too much at one time because they can't accept it. If they do, they'll go crazy. So
Yeah, Islam, definitely. You know, we just like we said, you know, we stand on the shoulders of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and Grand Sheikh Richardson Dingle with L and Grand Sheikh Timothy Dingle with L because they were the ones that, you know, revealed this information, connecting the dots what the Prophet gave us. And we just know we studied what they gave us and we was able to present this information to you. And
right.
if you need any more clarity or anything like that, you know, Sheikh Amir, myself, or the Sheiks, we'd be happy to you know, share. Like you said, nobody got all the answers. You got pieces of the pie that we need, and we got pieces of the pie that you need. Once we put the pieces of the pie together, we got a whole, then we can move forward. Because what we want to do, and the reason that we attain these documents and been studying this as deep as we do, because we need to actually sue the government because they are in default because they're not before their obligation according to the 13 sections and the policy of freedom.
So we'll talk some more upon that point because I think there's some documents that I have to that I'll basically give you some time where, well, I can just tell you because you got some great researchers. So look up, there's a document within the United Nations that's called the decolonization of colonial entities. And I can shut it up, but it's a document that came out in 1960. And what it does is it explains exactly how to go about getting what we actually supposed to get and how it's supposed to be. And they don't have a problem with it. The only issue is, what we look at, and this is our take, and I'll just give you this piece, what I understand and what I know upon researching. The reparation part says you can only get it as one nation suing another nation. So think about that. The other piece, they give you any type of finance, even if you're suing now, and you spend that finance within the same treasury, it's only a stimulus package. It's not reparation, whereby you may take that and repair your own people and your own nation. So that piece of information or others has actually came from other governments and it's actually factual. So we'll talk some more on those issues. One more piece of thing we can talk about, which is not too much of importance right now, being that what you've shown me, I can still, you know, can go with it. I just didn't like you said, the language within the resurrection book that the prophet said, not the prophet, he said, well, this is the process that we have to go through, whereby we're taking you from one slaveholder and you become federal property. Federal property and that part where I kind of, you know, take, I can see where, well, we're taking them from you because we got to do something with them. But to use the word property, I just don't, you know, I can see where you become, what George Bush used the word where he said refugee. When he was referring to the Hurricane Katrina folks, that I can more swallow that than to say, well, property, because property is property, you know, and a man can do what he wants to do with his property. That don't mean that how I got to give my property X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. And I think that's where we're seeing some little issues. So no, I don't want to be property because whom the Son is set free is free indeed. It's nothing to do with property. If any property that I want to become is actually the property of the prophets or the property of more. So,
No, you're actually correct. It was just that it was a process, a proclamation process that we had to go through when we be transferred from the slaveholder. The federal government will be responsible for us to colonize us, make us citizens and compensate us, and we'll be set free. We won't be federal property anymore. It was just a process that we were going through.
right. So I the document with Lincoln as far as colonization and stuff like that, I have it on Lincoln words where he's telling you that, how, look, man, you got to leave from amongst us and go do your own thing. I mean, we have that as well too. So I appreciate to know that at least we know that the end result still is the end result. So, but they're responsible, and even within the proclamation, they said they wouldn't fight or hold anything up when we actually want to go for our actual freedom. So, exactly. Yeah. So I don't think there's too much, like you said, there's not disagreements among us, but you know, the bill was good, and I learned something. And I appreciate it. So I just want to say that I appreciate showing me that. So it's good.
Well, we appreciate you more. And we're about to close out because we over our meeting time. We extended it to have the bill with you because we know you was at your temple service, and we usually meet on Sundays too, but since the Corona thing, we have not
Yeah.
able to meet, so we've been doing a Zoom call.
Right.
So we appreciate you more, and we hope to have a brotherhood with you and your brothers and sisters for now on. We know each other now. We more as kin, and we build from there.
Islam. Yeah, let's close out in prayer again. If you guys just don't mind, just go ahead and hit the prayer for us, and we call it a day. I appreciate the bill.
Indeed.
Islam. We always willing to pray with our brothers and sisters. Ain't no such thing as too much prayer, so let's do that. Islam, Moses. At this time, may we rise facing the east with our feet on a 45-degree angle, 5 fingers on the left and 2 on the right. Allah, Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Ameen.
Ameen.
Go in peace, brothers and sisters. Islam.
Islam. Yes.